And now a lot of onus on Shadow with the Naafiri pick.
He did get in one game he played this, he netted 17 kills on the pick, so we have seen Shadow bust this one out. Naafiri's been banned all day, as of course has to be scared of Tarzan's as well. So he won in game 3 just yesterday, but I thought it was gonna, be at least a Naafiri ban there on 3 to end up picking up the Vi, but that Ahri taken away signals the Naafiri, and I'm curious to see what they actually pair up with the Vi. I think Rise really goes up in value here as a good pairing with the Naafiri, and also something that you could play if you are Shanks. So
I could see that
at least Ezreal would help. You can create some range and some distance away from the Naafiri, and Rise too if that ends up being a pick for Care.
Yeah, I would like the Rise for sure. I think it's also something in Shanks' wheelhouse too. The Ezreal is just gonna be that safety lock-in for Hope. Maybe not that upfront damage that you'd want from the guy, but once you get to 2-3 items, it's gonna feel really good to have this guy in that direction. Care looking to steal that compositional strength away potentially, or at least foreshadow to what they can take away, as the Gnar is going to be the first lock-in and Rise immediately afterwards.
And this isn't a takeaway. This is a great pairing with the Naafiri, as the reach you can get from Realm Warp with Naafiri, and also that Empower and Root Prison to really hold someone in place while Naafiri gets to jump on you is big. That's the instant Galio response here. So Vi, Galio going to get Galio in the back line, and Galio early on can really absorb and also push against Rise, one of the few champs that can and answer. Always gives you ways to make plays onto FPX later on, and that AoE taunt going to be really big against Naafiri, who of course can go untargetable, but if you're in melee range, and Galio holds that, could be really threatening for Naafiri later on. Yeah,
absolutely. Even with some of the nerfs coming in, this champion is still nuts if you can find the carry moments. It is in the second phase, though. The focus is going to change up for both sides. A bot lane focus for AL as they take away the Misfortune already. It is the Renekton ban as well by FPX. A return to that Callista ban by AL as their final one. And the Camille final ban by FPX too.
I'm really curious now to see. You got to assume that this is just going to be the pick in the Gnar here. Or you could slam the Karma now, which feels really nice this game. Galio acts as your frontliner, and being able to empower Galio Vi to get that really strong duo in the Ez Karma.
Yeah.
But again, so I guess they might be scared of like a potential Jhin Karma maybe coming through. They really want to take this away. Jhin the highest.
I do like the Jhin here.
Yeah. Again, would at least I don't know if I love Jhin actually. I feel like you want to close the gap and have other ways to play. So I wouldn't mind Corki if it ends up being the call, because I think a lot of people will play into you. You just need a lane to help with that because you get brutally poked down. Jhin is the best person to deal with that lane and the poke. So I think that's why we get Jhin.
Yeah, and it's further setting up the utility around Shadow. I mean, they're really trying to enable as much as possible this Naafiri pick for Shadow. It is going to also be the Leona for Jwei, and they'll try to get that upfront damage CC lockdown with that final pick.
I really trust Hope and Kael in this lane, though. I think that's going to be tough, and also that Karma just to run away from the Realm Warps, the Gnar, the Naafiri even, who's locked in to chase you down, could be big. And now Flandre looking for his last pick. He was a big early adapter of the Aurora in Demacia Cup, playing that one top, being willing to play that out. So going to take that into the Gnar.
Do we like
that big point and click R?
Do you like the Aurora matchup into the Gnar?
It will make it so that the Gnar Rise can win their respective side lanes hard. I think that AL really, again, needs to play hard with the grouping and then really make sure that Hope and Kael get a lead in this bot side. But I do like the comp overall. I think that Galio is going to make things really difficult for FPX.
Okay. I do still love the Naafiri pick for Shadow. They're definitely centered around playing through him. The biggest question is how active he can be. I still think with the Naafiri, yes, you have some scaling elements for you, but you really want to be ahead of the curve.
I do, and I'm really curious to see, how and where they use these Realm Warps again. If you are on the side of FPX, the Gnar Rise side lanes, I think that you have some decent matchups there, potential to win. Rise can go into the Aurora later on. Gnar, my micro-analyzation of the pause is next level, Mazel. Next level.
Shadow had to go do something, I guess.
Had to swap
hopefully
out
it was important. Hopefully
Shadow.
It wasn't something he just wasn't prepared for. Anyways, we're on to the Rift finally. The Gyro's still going to be there. It is AL versus FPX. Game number 3. We reset the stage, reset the stakes. Again, first series win for FPX in Group Ascend if they are to win here. AL grouping themselves in that top echelon if they can move up to 3-1 on the split.
And for me, I mean, a lot of the hope's going to fall in Hope and Kael in this bot lane to be lane dominant and take that lead across with them for the rest of the map. As Aurora Vi Galio going to really be that front line that can open up for the Ezreal Karma, make sure that Hope has plenty of space and ability to deal damage. And this one is, will say, curiously enough, Awesome rocking the heal this game. Wanting that instead of the barrier, I will say, extra move speed can be kind of valuable to try and escape a couple things that will be coming his way from AL. So, like the fact he's doing that into a lane that's not going to grab Ignite.
Yeah, I do agree. We've been actually seeing the heal go to a lot. I mean, do you feel like there's a big difference in the utility that the barrier versus heal provides?
I mean, the move speed's the big thing, right? So if you feel like you can get advantage out of that, whether it's, I think, sidestepping a skill shot or creating some space, but Awesome walked really far up there in lane. Gonna get peppered a little bit on the way back. So a lot of trading down here, but should be Hope and Kael still that will be big in this 2v2. As they will, hit level 2 first and start to pepper this duo of FPX down.
See how much they can gain out of this advantage in bot lane here as well. It is also thinking about the opposite side pathings of both these junglers. Tarzan going to be going up towards top side as this Vi wants to be proactive in his own setup, a big facilitator for his team on this pick, where Shadow, all the eggs are in his basket. This team is built around this Naafiri, and Shadow getting an advantage of his own.
And mirrored clears here, so Naafiri gonna wrap the rest of this one up safely. Can be okay. And then Naafiri shoes again. Shadow has had a big game already on Naafiri, and unlike other regions, looks like enabled to feel free to use the Quizzy Naafiri skin, which of course is a new skin that has just hit the shop and is a banger skin as well. As it's kind of hard not to enjoy Quizzy Naafiri here. So.
True. What kind of glizzy is your favorite glizzy? Are you a Chicago dog guy?
It needs mustard on it. Okay. As that
Chicago hot dogs are weird, man.
They are.
I know you're
delicious.
from like that area. Yeah, I guess they are weird. Objectively, though, I mean, I don't think you can go wrong with just like a classic hot dog with like ketchup and mustard.
Well, I didn't see the exact chroma that Shadow picked up. I don't know if there are any chromas yet. I think there are.
That'd be awesome if they were all different kinds of hot dogs.
They are. That is exactly what it is.
Are they actually, or is it just like colors?
Yeah, they have. Yeah, it is. Okay. But they weaved into different colors with like different ingredients on a hot dog. It's pretty banger.
Look at that. Love to see it. The glizzy action will not take hold on bot side though.
That's all right. At the moment, we're going to need some action mid. Kael did opt for the TP, but also took the Mana Crystal start. Going to go for the double rubies here, which should really help him survive this lane against Galio, who, of course, can do some damage and has all-in threat against Ryze early on. Does fade away over time where Ryze scales, and we expect it to be the Roa Seraph's build for Ryze. And looks like Shanks might be going for a potential Roa himself, even though we have seen few different Galio builds. Usually it's the tanky ones, but that Mana Crystal kind of throwing me off, telling me that it might be a Roa that we have.
It'd be really interesting to see if he wants to go for like a tankier setup for them. They are lacking frontline pretty heavily, so Shanks may be taking the back seat in his build. Awesome, gonna dodge out of a lot. Awesome just lost the cannon there. It doesn't matter, maybe. I don't know. Heal coming out from both sides there. A little bit of tension-ish action there. Shadow now going for an invade onto Tarzan's jungle. Oh.
Actually went out on the Smite fight and got out of the queue with the untargetable. It's going to be a control ward donated over, so. Still got the camp, but Shadow return to his camps, and we'll see if any plays for the Grubs come out as our top laners in the middle of a reset.
Yeah, I mean, we got the Grubs coming up in about 25 seconds. The Dragon was up on the other side of things. We do have junglers on opposite sides of the map. Shadow Maybe even looking for the finishing clear on that side of things as well. I do wonder if this just means that AL want to start up the grubs early.
I think that Shadow was spotted, or was not spotted on his Raptors. I believe that was dropped as Shanks just based mid. But Tarzan at the moment actually sprinting towards bot. I will say this makes a little bit more sense for him, as Karma is where the early game strength is for anyone's legend. So I think playing for this dragon and getting that quickly is fine. Whereas this top side, I think it's going to be an Fury getting her hands on a couple grubs. Is hope be able to connect a decent trade. That's a lot of damage going back.
I like that XP advantage that's going to be given over to Shadow as well for FPX's side. If they do end up getting these grubs, he does hit that level 6, so should be getting those first 3 grubs for FPX. Should be a nice thing to hold on to as Sheer getting a very nice trade into Flandre in the top side on this Gnar pick.
Yeah, I mean, Sheer's been really willing to blind the Gnar as the flash comes in from Kael. The root could not stick to Awesome thanks to the Q stun from Jwei. And that delays the Dragon take, Mazel. So it's not going to be a trade from Tarzan. Instead, he goes for the look, gets spotted. So just first neutral going over to FPX.
That's crazy. They don't even get anything for that play. And the Fury coming out the bigger dog of things in this early play. Kael, though, now going to be a little bit more of an influence potentially as we look to it. Shanks also going to have a lot of mobility out of that mid lane. Now we're getting to this point. Do we have some more interactions in this early game? And specifically, is AL going to try to force the dragon?
I think they've got it at some point. As this, you can see every time we look bot towards as Karma, just feels like they're making a little bit more progress in terms of getting those health bars, though, for FPX. They will take the reset in now. We'll see if that's the trigger for Tarzan to go start that dragon. That or spotting Shadow up top, which just happened. Rise is tailing, so Flandre is under threat.
Might be able to get distance for himself to get out of there.
That got Tarzan off.
Hovering with that Realm Warp, was ready to go. It's going to be caught in transition, though, is Shanks. He's in a little bit of trouble. The prison not able to lock him down long enough. Shadow going to start up the chicken nuggets here, but he has Tarzan right behind him, and now Shadow locked down. Cease and desist can be used. Not going to pull the trigger on that from Tarzan's side. Kael was right there to support as well as Jwei, so it's a 3v3 brewing.
Of course, he used that on the Fury. Chance for Shadow to go untargetable and just completely nullify that. Not worth, so was hanging on to it. No better target found, no trigger pulled, and now, okay.
Shanks just literally cannot move his champion, and the 4th shot goes through. Kael cleans it up afterwards. And FPX get first blood.
And Shanks could not be on that wave. And a good find from Jwei with the roam from Awesome as the reunited duo for this split finds a kill and gets FPX on the board first.
That's a really good roam timer from FPX and just using some of this togetherness.
It's early.
That's a big Roa completion from Kael.
It means that 19 minutes in, you get the thing fully stacked, right? So early Roa, stacking early can be really nice for the Rise. Of course, get extra power with the abilities every point that goes in, or some bonus mana. And man, I gotta say, for FPX, this AL comp, I do think that they're pretty ult reliant and need to find that cease and assist entrance from Vi to get the heroic entrance coming out from Galio. But at the moment, Mazel, we haven't seen them pull the trigger, and that was a nice find for FPX.
And the more that Shadow is kind of left to his own devices, the more scary I feel like this Fury can get into this composition. Kael's going to be scaling as well. A lot of damage going to be coming through him once he gets to those 3 items. As Dragon is started up right now by FPX. This would be the first Dragon of the game, about 10 minutes in. Realm Warp coming through. Kael takes it. What the heck was that use of the mechanics? You love to see it. Kael going to flash immediately over because he realizes he's in trouble. Tarzan takes down Shadow, and that's the big piece to the puzzle. Hope gets another one, and AL have just pounced on FPX. She is way too late to this fight as the Dragon will go over to the absolute legends.
I mean, Kael, he was halfway through the Realm Warps and halfway through the wall, so he got on the other side. But the back half, Kael lived, and anyone's legend just run the fight. Frankly, I got to get a second look at that one because things, again, just kind of came crumbling down for FPX. That entrance felt like it was nice, but again, in hindsight, way overforced and too many resources burned with Sheer coming in late, doing nothing. Loses a lot top, so a lot for nothing burn from FPX.
And you can't lose Shadow in these kinds of situations. He is the crux that your team kind of functions off of. You see how it started off.
A good follow-up here from Shanks.
Man.
All it took was the untargetable being used from the Fury for it to be an easy cease and assist target. As Tarzan disarms him. Finds a few kills, and of course that first dragon grabbed by anyone's legend as well. So sights all now on the second grubs. And again, Strength and the Ezreal Karma, they're the ones that have rotated mid and are here to contest. Galio going to fix that wave. No ults up for anyone's legend, so would love to see if FPX can push the pace here and really look for these grubs.
They are going to go for it now.
Should be given,
there was no answer. Tarzan to come over pretty late.
It's
first
waves
grub
first.
should go down.
Yeah, they need to fix the waves first. They really don't want to fight. They just want to force them out by waves and pressure, and they do so successfully, but still one snagged by Shadow. Good response by AL. I think really would have liked to see FPX play that a lot harder then, because now they have to be able to let scared. Tarzan has that ult coming back up. They're roughly tracking the timers, right? So I think they're just scared on this wave and have trust that Vi has the R up. That's enough to get them off.
And getting the 2 grubs is going to be nice. The denial of the 6, I think, is the more important aspect of that here. And we are now to a point where mid lane is going to be the contested setup from both sides, bringing their bot laners to bear. We get to get the Trinity Force already completed for Hope. We get the stop off of the boots for Awesome. Still really like that stop off on Jin. Feels good with the Swifties. Bot lane presence is being fought over now, though. FPX willing to put some money where their mouth is here. And Tarzan going to fight over that scuttle. Should be able to take this one.
Touchwave is going to maybe look there onto Kael, but Kael, of course, does have his sums up. That's another big thing. The flash is burned in the last fight. I mean, Kael, Shadow, both down flash, whereas it's only Shanks missing his flash. Going to look to get in the mix in these fights.
It's going to be an interesting setup there. As Shanks is going to try to chunk down Kael a little bit. It is that Roa that ended up getting completed for Shanks. How do we feel about that kind of stacking build, or at least scaling tank-ish healthy build for Shanks?
Yeah, I'd say a little bit new for me seeing this one. I think it somewhat makes sense on the Galio. This is a matchup where I feel like he's looking to do, I guess, some scaling on his own instead of just going for the MR item now. Rise does have scaling damage. Don't really need the MR now to slow down the Rise. Like, he's still going to get his farm and clear the waves, so I think, if anything, that's probably the thought from Shanks, just that, take advantage of the strength of Roa, which really does feel like the mid-lane consensus strongest item is opening up at the moment.
Well, we have hit those first item breakpoints for pretty much everybody, at least getting close to it. Obviously, Awesome still a little bit away from his. We are also looking at the setup around top side for AL. We have about a minute and a half till that dragon comes up. Would be second dragon for them. Still about 2 minutes for that Rift Herald to come up. They are trying to get this turret down with a slow but steady push up there, and helping out by those 2 grubs. Not going to be able to get it just yet. TP now coming in from the bot side, and Kael is going to try to join this push onto the turret their own right, and it's going to be a fight for first brick.
4 grubs to do. FPX is up in that, but
doesn't matter.
AL just able to beat them to it, and that locks down feats.
Little moments, you know, little tightly contested setup for both sides, trying to get that one, but AL will be pretty happy, stealing away the feats from FPX right there. Dragon now coming up about 35 seconds. The timer's getting a little bit lower there. Do wonder how quick they want to push the tempo here. At what point do we see the break point for either side, right? Like, at this 3-item break point, are we just waiting to that point? Do we need to see more activity from FPX? Are we just stalling?
I think AL really wants to fight this dragon, and should right now. For me, FPX, they need to start winning on the sides. That will come over time against the Galio, and I think they really want to find the Gnar into Galio matchup with Rise into Aurora. I feel like that's the magic sauce here for FPX, but they need to use the sides to get some economy and get a lead. Whereas if they group up against the Karmaz, they're just going to get poked out and outscaled.
See if they can get that set up for themselves then. Second items didn't get completed before this fight. AL Trying to make a collapse play on the Kael right now. Between Worlds comes through. Flandre gets Kael down about half health. Realm Warp there. Lockdown. CC chain and Tarzan gonna clean that kill up here. Big pick by AL before the dragon.
I mean, that R just didn't come out soon enough. And again, this is the matchup that you want. You want the Gnar into the Galio and vice versa. But Kael's got to recognize that if that ult's coming out, that's not just for the chip damage against the Rise. That's going for the kill. And not responding with the Realm Warp of your own. It came out way too late, so he loses the cooldown and his life and the dragon for his team. Big mistake from Kael and a great pickup from Tarzan and anyone's Legends.
Yeah, definitely tough to see from a staple mid laner of FPX. Again, the team is kind of built around this guy at this point, and unfortunately faltering in this one. Now into that bot lane, turret goes AL, try to take more standing gold. Rift Herald did end up getting taken by FPX and Shadow, so they'll recoup a little bit of something. Look to see if they want to use that in mid or top to take down those standing turrets.
I mean, it's turret now versus turret later, right? Or at least hopefully turret later. There's nothing going to be dropped at the moment.
Plan.
FPX, they're looking for resets. Imagine Sheer. Pretty happy that he's going to find Shanks yet again, but does need to take this down now. As yeah, he's about to pop him again. Gonna have to think about what he's going to do with this next wave. As here comes the replay. I mean, again, if you pop R like right now as Kael, you can walk out. Aurora cannot stop.
Yeah, 100%.
And then he sees Vi and pops into cease and assist range. Like, what are we doing, mate? That's weight on both occasions there.
You start seeing a little bit of the reason why we came into this expecting such a one-sided victory from AL, because this FPX team has struggled to put together wins. We've said it time and time again. There's a reason why there's a 0-3 under their name to start the Group Ascend. But with this season still very long out in front of them and a lot of games to play, we want to see those incremental growths. And I think in this series we did see a little bit of something in that game number one for sure.
We already
petered out a little bit though.
And there's been some decent moments for FPX. I think, though, in that game, too, once they got lost on what to do, they really struggled. And this game, we're still kind of looking to see what they want to do. Again, we've recognized the Gnar into Galio is a good get for them in these side lane matchups, but they haven't really been able to move the Rise anywhere successful. Kael got picked in a pretty bad spot there, and he's now behind. That's might matter later on in the game, too, because Galio going this build looks like he's going for, I'm going to imagine, a Riftmaker next, so it's going to be like that Drain Tank Galio, and there's I think that's pretty good this game. Like, I don't think we're bursty enough to actually get through a Galio, so we should get value from it. So gonna add another interesting layer to this one.
Do you think
expecting that?
Do you think Sheer's biscuits are getting stale?
No, but he's there's a new tech where you can save them for your mid-game fights, because when you get low, they give you % health back, so they're actually more valuable mids. So they're actually aging like a fine wine in his inventory, becoming more valuable over time.
Love to see it. Oh, Jwei loses half his health, maybe even more. Pop shots from Hope in the Between Worlds. Gonna be flashed in there by Jwei, so he won't have that tool available for him. And now we actually see AL with this small advantage of about 2,000. We're trying to make plays with Tarzan and co. So gonna be a safety net for FPX developed.
Yeah, well, I mean, while this is going on, it's still Hope peppering down waves and farming occurring. 2-item Ezreal, Miramon about to be evolved here soon. As well, this game's really slowed down here, Mazel. And frankly, I'm pretty confident that it favors anyone's Legends, but
I love that you say that, because then we get the opposite every time.
I know. I just feel like FPX they missed their window where they needed to do stuff, and now it's starting to get harder.
Now to spite Cubby, they will just magically start doing things. And
Might be fun.
It will work. It could be fun.
I'm getting a little bit bored up here, so if they want to start doing things, I think we all might benefit off that.
I think so too. As Rift Herald play still in the pocket for Shadow, maybe saving it as a distractionary tool rather for this next dragon take. It is about less than a minute away from that one. Would be soul point on a Mountain Soul for anyone's Legends team. And that would be very tough to handle for FPX.
Yeah, that would that's always a tough draw when you got Jin in your team. So see if AL is able to continue their setup that looks to be off to a good start here. Flandre not showing on that wave. No one's showing right now for FPX. They're going to be the first to take. We'll see if they can hold the retake. This is where things get a little bit tricky.
We're going to try to get some positioning down this way.
Yep.
I think the, okay, I was going to ask, or like wonder if second items were actually going to come through for Shanks. He did complete the Rift Maker now as well.
Oh, he's going.
He is very big, and he wants
care.
to get into the fight. Here comes the rest of AL, though. Look at Tarzan, gets the Lynch onto him, and a Lynch pin, at least of the team, is going to be around again, as Tarzan has been the crux that this team has been built around and works through. You talk, or at least hear the talk of Tabe and how much influence Tarzan has, and that linchpin is looking very tight and very crucial to the hopes of AL, as Rift Herald going to go through on Foreshadow. That's a little bit unfortunate there. The Rift Herald won't get very much off the back of that one, and Dragon will go the way of AL in the end, so that will be soul point considered for anyone's legend.
FPX, they don't stop the Galio, and Jwei goes in on his own. I will say that these front-to-backs that AL's been finding, like the value of the Karma Ezreal, it hasn't come close to being broken here, Mazel. And it really feels like because these leads haven't occurred for the Gnar, for the Rise in these side lanes, the team fight value for AL is just through the roof. So, like, the lack of leads in the points of the game where you would imagine that FPX can be stronger, it's adding up to stuff like this now, as Hope just deletes Awesome in the mid lane.
Bye-bye, Awesome. Gonna have to take a little time out there, buddy. About 30 seconds to go on that one. Oh, Jwei now ends up taking the engage on Tarzan. There's a lot being used here. Heroic entrance in, and Jwei is just going to die. No, Sheer gets a big Mega Gnar ult, and Tarzan goes down. Now it's FPX's rebuttal time. Shadow tries to get the resets there. Is going to have to back away. Hope has rounded the corner, and Hope has come for FPX as they get the big pop shot onto him. And that's going to be a kill going the way of Flandre.
Some big pop damage coming in there, but again, Hope, Kael not able to be dealt with in the range of the Ezreal Karma. The power 2 kicks into the back half as, man, again, Care without a lead on this Rise. He looks so vulnerable to the poke being thrown out by AL here. It is now Awesome again under threat.
He just got back, man. Oh. He's even stunned in the camera right now. I'm the same way, bro.
Again, AL taking over in this game.
Dude, I've been there, man. You literally just die consecutively. You just put your hands down at your lap, and you're like, all right, well, this is my life now.
You just can't walk like that. Like, you have no control over the vision of any of those brushes. Again, like that vision line, he has to clear that wave and go back to where Tarzan's at right now. He has absolutely no respect for where AL could be. And then this fight, I thought Tarzan was in a little deep here, because Sheer has a nice pinch, and it's a good start to the fight, but watch this fight from Kara's perspective. Like, yes, he gets involved in the Galio, but after that, like, this is it. He doesn't get to do anything else as AL just walk backwards in Hope. Absolutely just free fires upon this Rise. Hope plays this fight beautifully, even weaving that Q into the end. Against Shadow. 5-0-2 on Ezreal. Shojin now completed. Hope was the one who was granted that lane advantage in draft with this Ezreal Karma. He is the one that executed the early lead for AL, now executing in the fights, now with a big lead on his shoulders. He's the one that's going to carry this game.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it was Shanks last game. Now the other piece to the WE transplant in Hope, having his big pop-off on the Ezreal. And you love to see that kind of performance from this guy who's been in the league for a long time, making his name on EDG and JDG. Spent some time trying to rebuild into a potential legacy now with anyone's legend. And the Ezreal, still that question mark in the draft, but still really coming out clutch now as we have hit that precipice of the 3-item spike that we said is of all importance to AL. We still have a little while to the next Dragon spawns. Atacon could be the next play if AL really want to push the tempo here. But right now they're actually trying to collapse over onto Sheer.
As Ezreal so far ahead of the curve of the game. And AL had a tempo on that bot side compared to Sheer. He's going to TP to get himself out of there. Nice escape. Still gathering resources in the 1-3-1 again. This is where FPX, I think their comp is strong. They just made no plays in this formation, Mazel. Like, when did we ever see like a Rise Realm Warp to impact anything? Or a Jhin Curtain to support one of the sides? Or like Rise tailing Gnar trying to make a play or vice versa? Like, Exactly. It was like it shouldn't be mid too. It should be in the side. It should look like how it did game 1 when FPX were able to slow down AL. They can do that against AL this game. They just haven't been able to pull it off, and not being able to accrue a lead in the 1v1 or the 2v2 for Rise and Gnar, like where these champions really thrive, has led to the point where this 3-item Ezreal can break everything that's being thrown at him.
And you're just not going to be able to catch him either, which makes it so difficult.
Exactly,
and,
yeah.
I'm actually really liking the adaptation of the Shanks tanky build coming through here. I know we were questioning kind of that Roa, but this man is also just untouchable, and I love that they add a little bit of tankiness to their front line.
I mean, to be fair, this is less tanky than the actual build, right? Like, usual
it is,
one.
Yeah.
It's more damage focused, right? But I like it because it's not like you're going up against a giant DPS marksman. Jin's a little bit different. He's not going to really have a big impact against you as Galio until later on. And if it gets that late, well, you might feel like you're in trouble anyway. So this build is just the way to go.
I see the setup now around this dragon pit. Atacon actually got started up, so that's going to be really annoying. Atacon might be one of the worst leashes in all of the game's history.
It's a painful
Like the fact that it follows you so far and it has such a wide range. And I need to get the reset now as well, as Dragon does end up spawning. Catch on the care. Tarzan trying to find him. True Shot Barrage going to be flashed out of. The rest of FPX signaling the retreat, but Tarzan got the solo bolo. And now gets the rest of the engage from all of AL coming on to FPX. Oh, Sheer is going to have to jump out of that one. Massive pick by Tarzan onto Care.
And mid-tower falls because the waves were so much better for anyone's Legend 2. And for how competitive Game 1 was and Game 2 looked at times, this game has felt anything but competitive, as Mountain Soul easily secured for AL. They've not been under any threat in these fights, Mazel, as again, this one just looking all too easy, as this Rise has been consistently set behind in this game, and now just melts of the hands of Tarzan as Care. Like, how many times in this series, Mazel, have we just seen a fight start off by AL completely outplaying one of the members, or just completely catching off guard someone on FPX that's so out of position that the fight afterwards is just unwinnable?
Dude, Tarzan is a menace for that path. Like, dude, he was out for blood.
Nice.
Like, it was actually
nice, but,
disgusting.
We're not respecting the sides of the map. Like, where we have power, you got to play out through bot if you're carry. You can't, like, retroactively walk back. We don't have vision. It's just really amateur and poor mistakes being made by FPX, getting easily punished by AL and making this game look not competitive at all.
Questioned what they would look like in this Ascend group. We're starting to get some of our answers. Still a lot left to play, as we said, for this team throughout this split. But right now in this game, it's seeming all she wrote is AL, as they do take a couple of quick kills off of that one. Shadow is gone. Jwei is gone. Sheer's trying to sidestep off of Flandre, but Flandre putting down his whole prodigy, as Care is also just going to fall. And massive double kill from them. Flandre is going to find that extra pick too. And that's the push in the mid lane with the Baron buff of plenty. AL putting themselves at the tippy top of the LPL.
I mean, it was a competitive start to the series, but not a very competitive finish. AL, nice draft and good play here in this Game 3 to make it look like it was easy against FPX, but a little bit of a scare here in Game 1. Didn't play their comp out the best. Do drop a game, but still end up taking the series.
GG's, a 2-1 for anyone's Legend over FPX, and it still makes you scratch your head. And what the hell happened in that game number 1? Where did AL get the subs for that game, and how did they come to the culmination of finding such a dominant victory over FPX? Still have to give that first game to FPX, though. I did, like, even if I'm memeing aside, it feels bad. It seems like after that second game, especially moments in that second game, the wind was just completely taken out of their sails. But they did take a win over AL, and something to be at least a little bit proud of.
Again, that Game 1, I thought it was a good look from FPX, who used all their globals really well, but you removed the tools for them to cheat tempo, and you could really see how lost they were on the map against AL, who, again, made that series look so not close in the latter two games by just being so much better with how they played the map. And it made some of the micro moments where AL were just better as players all that much easier. And it ended up looking like a pretty one-sided series, even if it was a 2-1.
And getting a lot of highlight on Flandre and Tarzan, rightfully so. Even if Flandre still hasn't found a win on a Yorick, So far, it's still going to be something where he was able to put down his old prodigy and Sheer from all of their time on JDG. And
if you eliminate York games, AL's 4-0 the last 2 days, Mazel. Against BLG and FPX, I mean, that's overachieving. Huh?
Dude, it's wild, man. He just can't find the win.
He's just digging his own grave with a grave digger, you know? If he would do.
Oh, goodness. AL, what an amalgamation. And fun and interesting and head-scratching sometimes.
Yeah,
but this team has been one of my favorites to follow in the recent history of LPL.
They took a game off of AL, and I'm still managing the way the series disappointed in FPX. It was really ugly in the last 2 games, Mazel. They could not set up anything against against AL. It was rough.
It is tough, and especially because the problem is also we've just seen a lot of this team, and when we see a lot of this team and none of it looks really good, it just feels that much worse.
They look like they were lucky to qualify for Group Ascend, which is, to be fair, where we had them. But we're looking for improvement. They did win that game 1. They showed why Talia is being banned against them in super high prio in their series, like both for them and against them. And that's about the good that we had to say about FPX in that series. Awesome had a big Kaisa game, you know?
There you go.
I like the blind Scion.
There you go. Well, luckily next week it's way easier for them because, again, like we said, like out of 8 days so far in the LPL, they played 4 of them. And then they also play tomorrow, and then they have a 1-day break, and then they play again. So literally they're going to have played over half of the games, or at least half of the games on the game days that LPL is going to have played. So going into the latter half of week 3, they'll have a lot less games, maybe able to take stock of some of these rampant series, because it's hard to prepare for best of 3s and just have multiple opponents back to back to back to back, and big time opponents, big name opponents on top of all of it.
I will say I do have a lot of faith in Weibo tomorrow to make sure that I am leaving yet another FPX cast even more disappointed than I probably am leaving this one.
That's the problem, though. You just believed in Weibo.
It's likely going to be a Weibo 2-0. We're gonna believe in them as much as we can.
I don't think so, bud.
I mean, it was likely to be an AL 2-0 today, and man, this game was a slappening. Wow, it's tough when the damage charts look like that.
Not a single person over 10K. That's a shocker.
That's a roughie. Some really poor setups being brought out by FPX were punished very nicely by AL. Really, the side laning team wasn't able to side lane. It's kind of that's kind of stinky.
It does feel bad, especially when they ended up getting the Nefiri. Maybe AL not needing to ban that one away necessarily, but ended up living it up for that first pick on the side of FPX. Did not pan out for them. So I do love to see some of these iterations from FPX, but I do want to give some more praise to AL for being able to pull this one back and being able to kind of clinch it in a 2-1 victory to move themselves to 3-1. Do we have any standouts for this last game on who we think could potentially get MVP?
Shanks or Hope.
Okay.
I think the answer. I mean, it could be Tarzan again.
I think it could be Tarzan.
I'd probably give the boom damage to Hope on the Ezreal.
I love that that's been your statement so far.
It's an old one from the LCK that I liked. You know, shout out to Wolf and his boom damage. You give the boom words as.
Oh man.
Again, like so many moments where there's one member of FPX just picked out or just in a terrible spot. So many like bad entrances or starts to fights where in the end it really is why it is so one-sided in AL's favor.
It was indeed. It was indeed. And that'll feel good for AL. I'm sure that Coach Tabe is going to have a really nice long talk about what happened in that game, number 1. Especially after
I don't
Tarzan.
think FPX gets Talia the second time these two teams
I
meet.
don't think so. I don't think so. We are going to see this matchup again, though, in the future. Speaking of that double round robin, should be a lot of fun to go for. Well, we have a little bit of time before we get into that MVP, though. I want to talk about those next matchups. Like you had foreshadowed to, FPX will be facing off against Weibo. Another tough match, another tough opponent, trying to get a win on the board here in Group Ascent.
I mean, speaking of the upcoming matches, Mazel, do you just want to start teasing the next one? I feel like that's why everyone's here. If we're being honest.
Well, first let's talk. We have to get the MVP.
Hey, we're waiting for it. I'm done with this series.
What
Mazel.
about
We're not on to the
AL
next series.
is then also facing Weibo in their next series. So.
That's great. What's the next series we have after this one, Mazel?
We still need to give MVP. We need
I don't care.
to finish this and then go to the next one.
Does anyone really care about the MVP for this game, Mazel?
Maybe. Probably not. It is going to be fun, though. We have a legendary historical matchup between IG and Top Esports.
Yes.
If anybody's a fan of Naruto, you know, you'll get your fill in that one, as it's a massive historic rivalry between the two, but also one of the funnest pieces of content the LPL had put through in recent memory, which has still been a long while since then. We'll get a refresh of that before we go into break, but let's go ahead and look at giving our MVP away here for this one, as people do care about it, and it was Hope
damage
of all people. Boom, boom, Ezreal damage.
I mean, Hope did a really nice job in these fights. That W even just onto Awesome. Like, I know he didn't follow up on it, but really helped push him out of the fight. Awesome just walking in such an illegal manner. I can't even call it jaywalking. He just could not be there whatsoever. Then again, Hope, nice sidestep on this. Like, all these plays, Hope is just playing really, really well. I know he was the person coming into this series one in that you really thought had stepped up on AL, and good to see that in Game 3 when they needed it the most. But then that's enough about this series. Predictions before we hand things off and do our ad reads.
It's going to be so hard. Top
IG
Esports
versus Top
so
Esports.
good.
You have
They look
Top
so
looks
good
off right now. Konami looks really good.
Yeah, Konami looks really good. I think it's going to be a fun matchup between JJ and Konami there. The Ninja Wars will kick off after a short little break here, and we'll get to see a little bit of fun with Mr. Slayer and Bloxer coming in.